Welcome, Chakra Collective, to another empowering episode of Chakras and Cuss Words, where we blend spiritual insight with a dose of real talk. Whether you're here to deepen your chakra knowledge, explore the cosmos, or you just need a place to vibe with like-minded souls, you're in the right space. Let's dive into today's journey of energy, empowerment, and a little bit of cosmic chaos. I am so glad you're here. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chakras and Cuss Words podcast. My name is Katherine, and I am your host. Today, we are going to talk about the astrology for March of 2025 and also get into the astrology that occurred and some of the viral and I guess you could say trending moments in social media, in the world of social media and the world of media. Some of the high intensity moments that kind of made the news and some of the astrology that occurred in February. So I'm just going to do a little reflection of February on a personal note. So I feel like February it went by super fast. I love the month of February because it's my birthday month and it's just like a busy month, but this month was really busy for me. Everybody in my family is like a fucking Aquarius. So it was a lot of Aquarius energy going around and it was kind of intense because we were doing a lot of party planning, a lot of parties, a lot of friends having parties, a lot of birthday celebrations. A lot of just fun. And then I love Valentine's. Like Valentine's in Aquarius season, I really feel like Valentine's is that holiday that represents like self-love because people are either super happy to be celebrating Valentine's Day with somebody they love, or they're either like, what the fuck? Why haven't I met the person of my dreams? But I think that Valentine's Day kind of represents that Aquarian energy where it shows us like our independence and our area of like collectiveness is present in our everyday formulations. And even though we might not be centered like with our soulmates or the person that we're like super in like love with, or I don't know, just you're not really feeling that passion and that love energy. It kind of shows you that energy of independence to put the self-love back into you. So I know a lot of people were saying like, how the fuck is Valentine's Day in Aquarius season? But to me, it makes sense. And it totally makes a lot of sense. So I definitely think Aquariuses do have that energy of independence where they love their freedom, and then they also love that energy of the collective, but they don't necessarily want to be like tied into social gatherings too much. Like there's a lot of Aquariuses who are like, okay, this was fun. This was a great month. And now I'm fucking exhausted and I don't plan on seeing these people for another year. But I'm just saying. So let's get into February. Okay, February's energy as a whole, I feel like it was a little smoother, definitely a lot of energy, but it didn't feel as chaotic as some of the past months, but there was definitely some chaotic energy. Definitely. And one of the days that we had Venus in Pisces conjuncts Neptune in Pisces, and also right around February 1st and also February 2nd, we had the 67th annual Grammy Awards. And the Grammys definitely highlighted all the celebs, all the celebrities. Miss Beyonce won her first, I believe, was it album of the year for Cowboy Carter? And I was so shocked that she's never ever won an album of the year. A lot of people are saying that it was because Jay-Z like threw this full rant the previous year. But in all honesty, I'm very surprised that she's never won an album of the year before because Beyonce has a huge fan base. People love her and she creates good music. Like there's no argument about that. She creates good music and it just seems kind of ironic that she didn't have an album of the year. And I believe Kendrick Lamar had like song of the year. You'll have to go back and watch the Grammys if you want detailed, precise information. I'm not trying to give detailed, precise information. I'm just trying to like share the energy of the collective as a whole. And then Bianca Censori and Kanye West allegedly had some type of verbal argument right on the red carpet before she dropped her fur coat that showed all the business. And when I mean all the business, it showed all the business. I will be honest, I am not a huge fan of like Kanye West. I like to watch him and kind of then check his birth chart and see like what's going on. But like at this point, I'm like, astrology, there's something very wrong with this man. That astrology doesn't matter. Like, he has a lot of shit going on in that crazy ass head of his. And I think Bianca Censori is a little fucking crazy too. And I'm not trying to like say anything, if I think she's in a abusive relationship or controlling relationship, it's hard to tell because I also feel like she has multiple opportunities to, I guess, leave, but then also people are saying that she's very calculated as well. I mean, I don't know. Their relationship is very awkward to me and I don't really understand it. It doesn't feel very aligned with Kanye West's old persona, because his old persona was very like almost like conservative in some ways, where he was saying that he didn't like how Kim Kardashian dressed. She was too revealing. But then he has his new woman, Bianca Censori, literally a butt booty fucking naked on the red carpet because she had like this little dress and you could see everything. And to me, that is not art. That's not appropriate. The mind has no, what is it like? There's no curiosity whatsoever. It's just basically, boom, she's naked. And yeah, she has an amazing body. Like we all have acknowledged Bianca Censori has an amazing body. But at what point is it like, we're tired of seeing your chick fucking naked? And what's interesting is with this Venus in Pisces conjuncts Neptune in Pisces, I feel like this energy of like illusions and relationship kind of like played out. And it was also like an area where it feels like you get lost in the emotions and you get lost in that energy of feelings and what is right for a relationship. And in all honesty, like I can see how this feels controlling. And I can also see how this feels very manipulative. I'm not sure if they talked about like, I mean, obviously they had to talk about it sometime, because she knew she was going to the Grammys butt ass booty naked. But at what point was she like, I don't feel like I should do this? And then was that like when they're on the red carpet and he's like, nah, girl, just drop that fur coat and show him what you got. And then she's like, okay. I don't know. Awkward. That's all I gotta say. Very fucking awkward. I don't know. Okay. So then after that, Kanye West decides to have another mental breakdown and shakedown. We're right around February 4th. And we have to remember that Kanye's chart, he is a Gemini and I believe he is a Pisces moon. I don't have his chart in front of me and I do not care to bring it up because in all honesty, I feel like he's suffering from a lot of mental health issues and also he needs some type of fucking help. But he then goes on this full ass like rant on X. And I believe he's then saying more like anti-Semitic things. He's basically talking a lot of crap about Jewish people. And then he is trying to share and sell a t-shirt with a swastika. Just very, very odd. One of the things that he did say was Elon Musk stole my Nazi swag. And he just went on like all these fucking rants. And it's very Kanye. that's kind of like what Kanye does. But it was just like, what? Like every time you think that Kanye is somewhat getting better or maybe working through some of his issues, he proves once again he is not. Like he is just a hot ass fucking mess. And I don't know how else to put it. And then Spotify actually basically shut down from selling his merchandise because they're like, no, we don't sell swastika t-shirts on Spotify and you're violating your terms. So they basically shut him down. And Kanye's been doing Kanye. And then of course he retracted his statement and said, about a week later that he feels like he's not a Nazi. He was just going through some things. I'll be honest, I'm fucking over it. I do not care like what you're going through. Get on your medications or work through your shit. Nobody wants to hear your fucking just, I don't know, your hate. We're over it, Kanye. You're a little bit too controlling and it's time for us to move on. And that was right around the time that Jupiter went direct in Gemini, around February 4th. And then also him as being a Gemini, I can see why he was starting to lose it with Jupiter going direct. Probably everything he's been thinking just kind of exploded and it went completely outward where the collective said, oh yeah, you haven't changed much at all. Even though you are claiming that you're now a billionaire again, but we'll see how long that lasts. Then right around that time of February 7th, we have the Coca-Cola conspiracy. So the Coca-Cola conspiracy is basically that Coca-Cola were hiring, I believe a Coca-Cola in Texas factory was hiring undocumented workers. And for whatever reason, because of Trump's new stance with immigration and undocumented workers, that the Coca-Cola who hired, let me remind you guys, they hired these Hispanic, mostly Hispanic workers. They then decided to call ISIS on their own fucking staff. And the outrage in the Hispanic and Latin community was at an all-time high. And Latinos and also many Hispanic people decided to then boycott Coca-Cola, and rightfully so, because Coca-Cola has a very long history with the Latin community. They have the Mexican Coca-Cola, which has more sugar, has more caffeine. They have its own factories, and it is custom to the people of Mexico. Also, Coca-Cola has always been like very involved in a lot of community events, and just there is like this strong tie you would feel with the Latin community with Coca-Cola. So people have been boycotting. I was boycotting. I was very upset because I have very fond memories of Coca-Cola, and it just seemed like really fucked up. I can understand if you let them go and you're like, okay, you have to get your paperwork together. We can't employ you. But to actually fucking call ISIS on your own employees, yeah, no. Then that was right around the time of Jupiter direct in Gemini of that. And then also the Sun in Aquarius conjuncts Mercury in Aquarius, which I feel like was showing the energy of communication and how the collective is going to be together on certain elements, because people are saying that now Coca-Cola has been suffering. And I know a lot of Latinos have decided to definitely stand firm with this boycott. So I feel like this shows the energy of communication and how the collective can work together. And that was occurring down this timeline. And then also we had, and if you weren't crying crazy over this little angler fish who is so ugly but so precious. So the black devilfish or deep sea creature, that typically lives 200 to 2,000 meters below surface was recently recorded floating up into shallow waters for the first time. And some people believed this could be a bad omen. Some people believed it was energy around significant change it should occur. But this little angler, this little fish was actually like, when you saw the video, you thought, oh my God, this fish is fucking huge. But actually, this fish was really, really small. But people have just been so memorized with this fish that people are now getting like fish tattoos. They're really like in love with the story of the fish, because then we found out that this little baby fish, this little cute, ugly baby fish, went all the way up from the depths of the sea to basically the waters, the waters to see the sun on the day that he passed away. And some people believe maybe the fish was thinking the sun was his mother, seeing the light, even though he was surrounded in darkness his whole life, he decided to go to the light. It's just a very, very touching story, very beautiful story. Just very much a story that we could overcome so many things. And I thought it was so beautiful and so touching. And right around this time was February 9th. We also had not just the sun in Mercury, the sun in Aquarius conjuncts Mercury in Aquarius, but we also had this time of Mars in Cancer trines Saturn in Pisces. So that energy of the feminine, of being spontaneous around this feminine, and also the energy of like life and responsibilities and the spiritual presence coming full forward as we have that trine with Saturn and Pisces. Oh, and it just warmed my heart, that little beautiful ugly fish. Also on February 9th, we had Kendrick Lamar headlined the Super Bowl halftime, and he sang Not Like Us, and he even called out Drake, and a lot of people were going crazy like, oh my God, I love Kendrick Lamar. And it was definitely a highlight. Then right around this time on February 12th, we had the full moon in Leo. And a lot of people are talking about Trump renaming, and we have to remember he is a Leo rising, so I could feel like he was all in his energy of Trumpism. And he basically renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of Americas. Honey, okay. You do you, Trump, but we all know everyone's gonna be calling it the Gulf of Mexico. And I believe like people are suing him now, so let's continue. Then also, Elon Musk had his little badass kid in their baby X in the Oval Office, and this kid is hilarious. Elon Musk was basically talking about how he's doing his thing, he's helping the president. There's very strong, boundaries about talk of basically what he's doing. He's not the vice president, and he was doing his whole little thing in the Oval Office. But Elon Musk's kid was hilarious. So this kid was like in the Oval Office picking his nose, freaking telling Trump, I need you to shut your mouth. I mean, I'm like, okay, I don't know. I thought it was hilarious. But anyways, then we also have a lot of men calling out Serena Williams because of the halftime show. So if you do not know, Serena Williams was dancing at the halftime show, and a lot of people were like calling her out, saying like, oh, she's just basically dancing because of what happened with her and Drake. And she is basically like crip walking on Drake just to get revenge. And it shows that she's petty. She's like too old to be doing this. She has a husband. She has, a child, like she needs to grow up. Me personally, I think she was more doing it like, yes, a little bit of a like back at you, Drake, because Drake did talk crap about her in a lot of his songs. And why is Drake still going after his exes? Like, she's not a rapper. She is a tennis star. and her husband is not a rapper. So I just thought that was very odd that men felt so insecure to basically point out that she was with Kendrick Lamar. They're both from Compton, and they were both like having, getting their digs in. And to me personally, I feel like it was well deserved. And I felt like it also had a representation for the culture versus her like just being like, oh, Drake, I'm mad at you. We also have to remember that at the Wimbledon one year, she was crip walking after she won a match, because in California, dancing and especially like the crip walk is considered like something that's kind of like a staple to the, I guess you could say, to like California natives. And a lot of people were saying that she got fined during that. So I almost feel like the empowerment that she felt to be able to do that again, to have that representation, was much more than just like, oh, I'm still upset about Drake. I honestly do not think she's that upset about Drake. I think she is just basically showing her homage to the collective and to her own stance. And this was right around, after the Super Bowl, February 10th through the 14th, Mercury enters Pisces. So a lot of conversation about her, the energy of relationships, also the energy of creative talents, of communication, and then also a lot of dialogue about who is running this country with Elon Musk versus Donald Trump. So it was definitely an interesting time. Then we had on February 18th, which is when the sun enters Pisces. And I thought this was very interesting, is we had another fish come up to surface and was actually recorded. And that fish was seen as, I forget, it's like a living squid fish. I don't know, some kind of other fish. And this fish barely ever comes to surface. So a lot of people are saying, oh, it's a black omen again. But I honestly think a lot of it has to do with the environmental changes that are occurring, that a lot of these fishes are basically coming up to shore. And then also we have to remember that back in the day, we didn't have cell phones so easily at our feet or at our, whatever, in our hands, where if something like this happened, now people are like recording anything and everything that occurs. So of course, we're getting more records of people basically recording weird phenomenons or weird animal behavior. But in all honesty, is it weird? Because these animals have been here on this earth for a very long time. So I feel like just because we haven't seen it, doesn't mean that it hasn't happened. So people need to calm down with this. It's an omen. It's a black omen. It's a dark, scary time. Shut up. Then also, right around as the sun enters Pisces, if that isn't enough for omen for you, of all the fishes washing up shore, we have NASA says there is a 3.1 chance that an asteroid will hit Earth in 2032. So everybody work on those bonkers. Bonkers? Oh, honkers, bonkers. I don't know. What are they called? Those little basements where you live if an asteroid does hit. Let's continue. Then we also have to remember that Mr. A$AP Rocky, who is, I believe, the husband of Rihanna, and they have 2 children together, he was found not guilty for 2 felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm. So definitely emotions were high when he got that not guilty verdict. He literally did this big leap, hugging Rihanna, is just so happy that that he was able to show his innocence and that the jury found him not guilty. So good for him, because I feel like sometimes people get accused of shit that either the sentence is too harsh or the person is just actually innocent. And I feel like that if the jury felt that he was not guilty, that we should respect that, and also that most likely a lot of people are innocent before, and people prove them to be guilty because of reasons of appearance, and also because of reasons of just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And also, I feel like there can be a lot of rehabilitation from learning from an actual event such as this. Like, hopefully now he understands not to be with certain people or not to be in certain situations that can basically control the destiny of your life and basically can control a lot of events. So he thanked his lawyers, saying, "Thank you for saving my life," and made prayer hands as the jury left. So, good for him. Let's see. So that is basically all of the astrology for the month of February. All the viral moments that I really was looking at, except for then also we have Kanye and Miss Bianca Censori apparently are headed for divorce. And I will say, good. Good. Because I'm friggin' tired of this couple and I'm just tired of Kanye. So I think Kanye needs some type of help, maybe something. He needs something. He needs a rehabilitation. He needs something. Also, the lawsuit against Jay-Z, where the 13-year-old victim accused him of R-ing her and then also being in the room with another female celebrity. And Diddy was dropped, and Jay-Z basically, I believe, is now suing Tony Busby for defamation of character. So that's very interesting. And then I just found out today, and today is February 22nd. And I've been starting to record this podcast since like around 9 something, that Diddy's lawyers actually have quit his case. So it's definitely some interesting things that are going around. And then I was just looking at this trailer on Netflix and it feels very, very interesting. It's like This Will Happen Again, or Day Zero, I think is the name of the series. And it looks very like similar to Leave the World Behind, but it also looks very similar to a lot of energy around cyber attacks and cyber wars. And I've been saying that I feel like there's going to be like a lot of cyber wars. So it feels kind of like pre-programmy. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to watch that series, but I haven't started to watch it yet. And then maybe I'll talk about that. So we have to remember that we still have some astrology dates coming up. So we have 2/22, which is Tay, which a lot of people see as like a portal of intuition and also energy around assertiveness, of being centered around knowing your presence and your energy, and that area of having like breakthroughs. And also we have to remember that 2 is a feminine energy, but then it is also really centered around duality. So for me, it always feels very intuitive, almost like psychic downloads. So it's going to be interesting to see what occurs today. And then also we have February 23rd, Ceres enters Pisces, and we have Mercury in Pisces trines Mars in Cancer. We have Mars goes direct in Cancer on February 23rd. And then on February 27th, we have a new moon in Pisces occurring. So we definitely still have a lot of energy that is occurring in the month of February. Let's look at the astrology for the March 2025 dates. So this astrology, a lot of people have been talking about. It's going to be very intense. It's very much centered around new energy, new growth, and new movement. I'm excited for it. I do feel like it's going to definitely be a little bit more explosive than what we're used to. And it is going to have some people kind of centered around their feelings and also centered around their personal growth, which can create some energy that might feel a little bit like an obstacle and also might feel like an area of a fight, like a little bit of an argumentative fight with their self and also with their consciousness and their awareness for improvement and also for their awareness of mindset. So on March 1st, we have Venus retrograde in Aries. To me, this stands out right away as centered around the energy of relationship and also the energy of being authentic with what it is that you are centered with. There could definitely be some turbulence in the relationship during this time. Also, some energy where you might be seeing that maybe you've been a little bit selfish, or maybe your partner has been extremely selfish. There's definitely a time that feels like it will be a little bit of an argument or a little bit of a challenge with certain relationships. Of course, since it is centered around Aries, there might be a direct correlation with a lot of the cardinal signs. If you are a cardinal sign, that means that you are a Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer. Also, we have Mercury second. We have a Mercury second. I'm sorry. I apologize. I mean, March 2nd, Mercury in Pisces conjuncts Neptune in Pisces. I honestly like this energy. I feel like this energy feels a little bit more dreamlike. It feels a little bit more superficial, and it feels like a little bit more centered around magic. And it feels like this energy that keeps us in the area of communication, of allowing all things beautiful, even if they aren't really there, but acknowledging that they are there at some point, if it is in our dreams, if it is in our areas of being centered around meditation or centered around new movement, of allowing ourselves to romanticize certain elements of our communication and allowing ourselves to dive into that. Also, right around March 3rd, we have Mercury enters Aries. To me, Mercury enters Aries feels a little bit more centered around communication about what it is that you want, right? What it is that individual wants. I don't really see it as an energy that will feel too explosive, but it will be centered around a lot of talk. I do think that also people will be talking about certain things that feel a little bit more independent and also a little bit more centered around that area of freedom. While the Aries doesn't enjoy like massive freedom like the Sagittarius, it is a fire element. So it will definitely get entwined with the energy of freedom. And it does like have that area where it could burn freely the extra energy. And if for whatever reason the communication isn't being talked about, we will see that like it will kind of like boil up into certain individuals, and then it will feel very explosive. I do feel like if you are somebody who communicates quite well and you are confident, your communication will still remain confident and consistent, while with others, it might be a little bit more aggressive and assertive. So that will be something to look at in energies around communication. Also, we have to remember that March 3rd, a lot of people like to talk about it as that 3 portal because of the energy of 3 3. So that energy feels very centered around creation. And then also with Mercury entering Aries, we have that energy feeling creative and also independent. So it is definitely a time where creative independence should be like the main focus in a lot of the communication, and also should be centered where it feels confident and it doesn't feel overly like aggressive. Then on March 13th, oh baby, tell me it's true. Boom, boom, boom. We're in shadow season. Tell me it isn't true. But yes, shadow season. Lunar eclipses. So we're going to be hit with our first lunar eclipse. Our eclipse season is starting, and we have a full moon in Virgo, and astrologers will tell you not to create huge intentions, that eclipse energy is chaotic. And it definitely is. But also we have to remember that with the eclipses, we have to allow ourselves to kind of feel that energy of reflection, feel that energy of shadow work, feel that energy of clearing away certain aspects that have been definitely holding us down. And I can see this energy really be centered around health and wellness, and also the interpersonal area of daily routines as we have it with Virgo. So definitely a good time to do like a cleanse, a detox, something like that. We also have on March 14th, Mercury retrograde, babes, in Aries. So this Mercury retrograde will definitely be showing some areas of communication. And like I said, that communication that feels very independent. I feel like somebody's going to have a social, mental freaking breakdown. Hopefully it's not Kanye again, but that energy will definitely be centered around fireworks. With Mercury in retrograde in an Aries, I also feel like it will be a little bit of like people will be feeling like others are directly being mean to them in some aspects by their energy of communication. So we'll be seeing a lot of people taking a lot of external things internal. And that isn't necessarily the best, but there will definitely be some emotions running high during this time. Also, we have March 19th, Juno retrograde in Sagittarius. The areas of commitments, the area of movements might be starting to have an all-time failure. So that person that you thought was your dream match might be coming to show that they are more like a nightmare, unfortunately. Or that they might not ever commit. And I think that sometimes people see that in the relationships. However, you have to have that area to remember that just because it looks like a shiny perspective, it looks like a full influence, doesn't necessarily mean that that energy is the right energy for you. And it's hard because I feel like if somebody truly wants to commit to you, and truly wants to commit in certain events or certain professions, that it will come natural, right? It will just occur. But when you have someone who doesn't truly want to commit, it's probably because they don't feel aligned with it. And Juno retrograde in Sagittarius is kind of that energy that we might be feeling. Oh, yuck. Oopsie. Then we also have on March 19th, Sun in Pisces conjuncts Neptune in Pisces. So this dreamy connection feels so beautiful. I love this. The Pisces to me is just, it feels so magical and mystical. It feels like mermaids dancing. It just feels like a beautiful bliss of a situation. And I feel like Sun in Pisces conjuncts Neptune in Pisces almost feels like that energy of like creative expression where you're entering like this dream and everything's like illuminated with all these like crystals and high vibrations and energy around like breakthroughs. So this would be like a perfect time to journal. This would also be like a perfect time to create areas of like paintings or projects that feel aligned with hobbies or movement of like your dreamlike presence. Also, there's like an emotional well-being when we look at that energy of emotions and being centered around the area of illusions and having that expression kind of coming out at our fingertips or even through the energy of communication. But we don't want it to feel like hostile. We don't want it to feel like too centered around just self. So this would actually be a very nice center to create a project around not just the self, but also around others and like gathering around others as well. Then we also have the time of March 20th, where we have Sun enters Aries and the spring equinox, which is like, as many would say, the start of the new year, right? The start of the zodiac calendar as we enter Aries season. That is the energy around the first house, the first zodiac, the Aries. And this is a time where definitely we're like encouraging ourselves to work and be centered around growth and to be centered around movement and to be centered around creating new energies of fire, intensity, and seeing that we could break through these challenges, seeing that we could be centered around our independence, seeing that we can start a new breakthrough. Like if we've been feeling like very slumpy in this year, as it is perspective, because it is like the winter months for the Northern Hemisphere, this is a time that we're going to be like, yes, this is our time to move. This is our time to get out. This is our time to enjoy the friends, to enjoy the time, to enjoy all these new possibilities. Then on March 21st, we have Vesta retrograde in Scorpio. So this is also a time that people might want to retreat back to the shadow, might also want to retreat back to the area of like kind of having not necessarily being super positive, right? And we have to remember that false positivity, or what is it, toxic positivity, is something that does occur. Like it is okay to be in our feelings. It's okay to be like, I don't want to hang out. I don't want to deal with any of these people. I just want to be like curled up in my bed and watch a horror film. And it also kind of feels like the energy where we might not be feeling like we have total control in certain situations. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves that we're not meant to control everything. We're not meant to control other people. We're only meant to control certain aspects of ourselves while we surrender to the energy of destiny and we surrender to the energy of the cosmos and the universal connection. And sometimes letting go of control is a huge factor for many people. I also think that this is a time where we're going to see some secrets get exposed in the place of the mystic and also maybe the place of the occult. So I think like certain things of that are going to be kind of like being talked about. So we'll definitely be looking out for that. Also, we have Sun in Aries conjuncts Venus in Aries on March 22nd. And even though Venus is in retrograde, this is also a good time to focus on connections in the relationships and also connections to how it is that you internalize those certain aspects of the relationship. And also, it is a time to encourage ourselves and to allow ourselves to highlight this energy, to highlight this movement of being aligned with the interpersonal relationships with self and also the collective energy of a relationship, of maybe a love relationship or a friendship relationship, or even like an area of relationship of work or hobbies, but allowing that relationship to highlight and to have a little bit more attention, to have a little bit more love center around it. Then on March 23rd, we have Sun in Aries sextiles Pluto in Aquarius. I kind of feel like this might be a little bit of a high energy moment and definitely a high energy day, right around March 22nd to March 23rd, because there is a lot of movement. And it also is that reminder not to fear change, especially as the Sun in Aries sextiles Pluto in Aquarius, not to fear the collective change that is occurring. Also to see the energy of movement, that we can still achieve many of our own placements, many of our own step factors, many of our own movements, as long as we are centered on the energy of not giving up, right? Not surrendering our dreams because it feels a little bit challenging. So allowing ourselves to achieve still where it is that we want to achieve, and also allowing ourselves to understand that with each step, it is centered around hard work, drive, and dedication. And that consistency, which could basically create a revolution in certain aspects. We've already seen it, right? We've already seen how the collective has created a revolution in certain energies, and to allow that energy of faith and also to allow that energy of prosperity to continue to move on through. And I hear my husband mowing, that fucking guy. Okay, so then we have on March 27th, Venus retrograde enters Pisces. After weeks of just feeling, so internalized, as we had this Venus retrograde judging all our relationships, judging all our personal tributes, all our personal flaws, we see that this energy is more centered around the individual, center around our spiritualism, our energy around embracing, our energy around movement of our internal factors on a spiritual level. So we're allowing ourselves to be also reflective, but to also be a little bit kinder and to allow ourselves grace, right? Sometimes, if we've been centered around judging ourselves all through this Venus retrograde and Aries, like, gosh, I'm so blah, blah, blah this, or I'm so blah, blah, blah that. And then the Venus in retrograde allows us, as it enters Pisces, that feminine. It allows us to look at the shadow, to look at that energy, and it allows us grace. You have to give yourself grace on everything, on relationships, on new professions, on new movements. We have to remember to give ourselves grace, spiritually, and be centered around that movement. But however, I do feel like a lot of people are going to be like, with this energy, are going to be thinking that sometimes they were the contributing factor to the overall breakup or shakeup that may occur. And I just want to say, no, don't do that. Remember that it takes two to let a relationship break up, and it takes two on most mishaps. So let's not do the blame game on either partner. Let's just see how we can improve and move forward. On March 27th, we have Venus conjuncts Neptune in Pisces, and this energy feels very much tied into the energy of hoping for new optimism, hoping for new romance, hoping for new energy around the dreams. We have to remember that a lot of the movement and a lot of the energy for March felt very interpersonal, but it also felt very centered around relationships. And the Venus conjuncts Neptune in Pisces allows us to be centered around our solar space without being so tied into just the energy of self, but also allowing that cosmic connection of trusting our surrender, trusting our divine energy to allow the cosmic energy to take place, and what needs to be cleared will be cleared. Also on March 29th, we have solar eclipse in Aries. So we have a new moon in Aries, and it is tied with a solar eclipse. So this is a time to just allow the movement of breakthroughs, just to allow the movement of reflection. Some people like to definitely create intentions towards eclipses and towards new moons. I'm not a huge intention person, but around eclipse season, I like to use eclipse season as kind of like a reflective energy, but you do as you choose. And if you were to create some areas around intention, it would definitely be looking at the shadow and seeing how you would create areas to improve that movement around self and also around identity and appearance. So maybe work on your fashion. Then on March 29th, we have Mercury retrograde enters Pisces. And I will say the energy of March is intense. tense because it is a lot. So a lot of movement, a lot of movement, a lot of retrogrades, a lot of eclipses. So this is definitely a time that judgment might feel off in the energy of communications. Also, you want to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people who are good for your soul. Don't surround yourselves with people who feel like energy vampires, who feel very like intrusive. And what's like interesting is usually I'm not like a huge sociable person, but lately I've been like sociable, and certain people have said like certain things to me, and it just and it like makes me wonder like this is why I don't go out that much. This is why I don't hang out in like big collective circles, is because just in all honesty, I feel like there's a lot of judgment, and people tend to judge others because they don't understand others. And that's usually because for whatever reason, we bring up the energy of insecurity that is affecting them. So don't allow it to affect you, but also it is your reminder to cut that energy cord, to cut that energy off. So don't feed into other people's energies. Don't feed into the area of conception that you have to be around certain people, that you have to be around certain relationships. If a relationship, friendship, partnership, co-workership feels unaligned or feels like there's some energy vampirism or a little bit of like a scam, take that time to end it, block it, remove it, stay away from it. Also, we have March 29th, Mercury in Pisces conjuncts Neptune in Pisces. This time it feels almost centered around the energy of conclusion of your movement, also of conclusion of moving forward to the next chapter. Then on March 30th, if that's not enough for you, we have one more major event happening. Neptune enters Aries, and Neptune's very slow moving. So this will be centered around the energy of Aries for about over a year. And this energy, it's been in Pisces, right? Neptune's been in Pisces for a very long time. And I feel like that spiritual breakthrough, a lot of it had to do with Neptune and Pisces, especially on the collective matter. But I also feel like Neptune and enters Aries might feel a little bit more like bold and fiery with the collective. I also feel like there is going to be a little bit more like of a drive of that what was that culture that so many of us were tied into? Like the hustle culture might come back up again. That energy of like, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this to like complete your dreams. You got to move here, you got to move there, you got to do this, that. But in all honesty, a lot of the systems are broken. A lot of the energy around the systems, the energy around inspiration and feeling empowered are broken, that a lot of us cannot change. But we can address how we can move into the energy of being centered with our dreams, our illusions, our perspectives, and how we can have that inspiration to create that own fire within us and our own energy among us. So that is it, for the that is it. Fucking only hell of shit. But that is it for the astrology of March. So just remember to share grace, hold grace, give yourself grace, and allow yourself to see how relationships and that energy of internal factors work for you. I will try not to basically be too argumentative with my husband as he is mowing the fucking lawn as I am trying to record a podcast. So I hope there's not too much noise in the background. If there is, I apologize, but he's about to be beat up. No, Just joking, just joking. But please share this podcast with your friends, and please comment, like, and subscribe, and also share it with your witchy bestie. Check out all the recent podcasts that I have put out. I know there is one about the aviation and astrology, really looking at it from a perspective of some of the highlighting events that have occurred, and also some of the astrology that was taking place during that time. So please comment, like, and subscribe, and everybody have an amazing day. Bye.